You are listening to Turning 75 when yesterday I was 16, growing older, feeling younger, and saying it out loud. Hi, it's Bonnie. Hey, have you looked at the picture on this podcast? Did you wonder what it was? Well, it is actually my high school graduation picture on one side and a picture I took about 3 years ago for my fitness business on the other side. My daughter somehow positioned them together, and I loved it. Pretty cool, huh? She does all of my stuff like that because even though I am a marketing creative, it's hard for me to do things for my own business. I can do it for yours, but anyway, she did it, and I think it looks good. But let's look at it closely because the comparison tells you a lot about how you age. I used to look at the picture, just look at it and say I like that a lot. But then one time, something told me to really study it. The then and now of me. Look closely. Start with the eyes. Now, I always had big eyes when I was younger. Dimples, which is actually a birth defect of the facial muscles, I found out. And I remember many months ago looking in the mirror at my eyes and noticing that they were not so large anymore. But I didn't think anything of it. The proof, though, is really side-by-side pictures. You can really tell the difference. My nose is different now than when I was 17, the age when this high school graduation picture was taken, because it's a lot more forward now, not little pokey nose anymore. My lips were always a bit thin, but now they're even thinner. But I can still see the Cupid's bow on the upper lip. Of course, my hair is gray. I had stopped dyeing my hair years ago because my stylist used to always say, stop dyeing your hair because your gray is coming in a beautiful way. And I finally listened to her, and from that moment on, I got lots of compliments because first it came in like sort of salt and pepper when someone had actually asked me one time if I dyed it that way. And now it's pretty much a nice color gray. What the pictures show, though, what they really, okay, here you go again. What the picture shows clearly is how your face begins to sag. Not necessarily wrinkle, but sag down. That's another thing about gravity. Hits you in many places as you age. I'm not getting those jowls, the saggy, the hanging down cheeks yet, but I do exercises in order to lessen the impact of getting that jolly looking face. Want to know one exercise to tighten your facial muscles? Real quick and easy. Tilt your head backwards. Listen, never tilt it all the way back because it puts a lot of pressure on your C vertebrae, which can lead to a massive stroke. I know your fitness instructors always has you rolling your neck around to stretch it out, but that is only one of the most dangerous moves in the gym because it also will show you that your fitness instructor is not so up to date on how the body moves because we've been warned more than 20 years ago to stop rolling your neck in a circle. Along with floor crunches and how many fitness instructors are still doing those. Anyway, back to the tilt. Tilt it back a little bit. Now start chewing. And I don't mean just open and closing your jaw. Act like you're actually chewing something kind of rubbery. The movement works the muscles of the face. Now, if your face has already started to sag, it may not prevent it from happening, but it might. It might tone it up a little bit. Remember, lean that head back a little bit, and just work that chewing gum. Do it a couple times a day, and eventually you're going to be able to see that area is getting a little bit tighter. Now, when I was younger, I had very oily skin, and I hated it. Now, I realize that very oily skin kept my face from wrinkling too much. I wore makeup, for whole nine until I was retired. Back in the day, there was no business casual. When you were going up that corporate ladder, you wore a very conservative suit. Now I had nice legs, so I did wear my skirts a bit shorter, upper knee length, and wore at least a 3-inch heel to accentuate my legs. No one ever said anything because I was good at what I did, so nobody commented. I retired, and after about a month, I threw away those corporate suits. I kept the shoes for maybe 6 more months, but then they went. And then maybe a year later, the makeup went. I don't even own a lipstick. What's the point? This is who I am. Take it or leave it. And I spend a lot of time in the gym. So teaching classes and stuff, I'm not going to put a whole bunch of makeup on my face and then get it dirty with the sweat and all that stuff. So anyway, I am very natural in the way I look. And I cleanse my face with oil. About 15 years ago, I was making and vending a lot of natural products. I am a certified herbologist, so I make all kinds of potions for healing. And for those people who get on my nerves, no, mostly for healing. I made an all-natural soap bar, which was a big seller. And I also sold facial oil cleansers. I would vend at local schools, craft fairs that happened from like September to early December. And these were events where schools make money for their fundraising, whatever. During this time, and I just loved vending too, it's just so much fun. You meet amazing people, they make amazing products, and most of the products at these fairs have to be home and handmade. We sold the lotion bars, they were my best sellers. I sold them for $5 and could make several $100s at these events, which usually went from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. My other products sold well, and I spent a lot of time educating people on natural healing, and especially with the products they were using on their bodies and on the bodies of their babies and children. Did you get that? I am a naturopath. I would like natural healing, and I'm going to talk more about that in a few minutes. So I had stopped oil cleansing for several years because I just got too busy. I didn't have time to make it anymore since I wasn't making it to sell. But around 6 months ago, I found that my face was looking dull and not so smooth. So I said, let me go back to the oil cleansing. And I found out that it did make a big difference. And at the same time, I was also going into the light box at the dermatologist. I have what they call an autoimmune condition called lichen planus. I call it dread disease number 17 because my whole body suddenly broke out into lesions that itch like hell. No one knew what it was, doctor after doctor, diagnosis after diagnosis. Suddenly I got the lichen planus diagnosis, and it's an autoimmune, like I said, and I don't buy into that autoimmune nonsense. It's just a trash can diagnosis, meaning they don't know what's going on and they don't have any place else to put it, so they call it autoimmune. Because I'm like this. 15 years ago, when they didn't have that diagnosis of autoimmune, what did you call it? What did you do for it? So, and I've had many doctors who have agreed with me on that as well. Anyway, the studies were saying that the light box could help alleviate the symptoms of the lichen planus. So for a couple of weeks, 3 times a week, I drove 50 minutes each way. I would go 50 minutes to the dermatologist, stand in the light box for 1 minute, and then 50 minutes to drive home. And like I said, I did it 3 times a week. Now, your whole body is in the light box. It's really strong. You stand there naked except for your underwear, and you just let that red light do whatever it's going to do. Now, I did work up to about 5 minutes in the light box. Then I drive back home. So I don't really know what was working. I know that my face, though, was looking smoother and brighter, and it felt very good. So it could have been the oil cleansing. It could have been the red light treatment. Something was working. I had asked the dermatologist, a few months ago, what I should use to cleanse my face now that I'm getting older. This was before I had started using the oil again. And I said, I need to know, what do you have here? What products do you recommend that I should use? And she said, you're one of the people that oil cleanse, right? And I said, yep. And she said, that's it. She said, that's all you need to do. You don't need to spend money on all this other stuff because you believe in the oil cleansing and you understand how it works. So just keep on oil cleansing. Now, she became my best friend forever because she's one of the few doctors, allopathic doctors, who understands that natural products can work and can be very effective. But I also bought myself a face mask, and I use it 10 minutes on my face every other day. And then I'll put it on top of my head because she said, yeah, it might help your scalp and you having shedding of your hair as you aging. What you got to lose? So I do both things. Again, I'm all natural. I have no makeup, no enhancements. I would not do Botox or facelifts because it's just not me. I mean, it really is good for other people. And I don't judge other people for what they do, but I do me. I'm not the most glamorous person in the room, but how much you think that bothers me? I can hold my own, okay? I see ladies with flawless makeup, and I will say, your makeup looks really good, so natural. And I see them dressing in absolutely fabulous outfits, and I'll say, girl, you rocking that outfit. I like to see people who can pull that stuff off. I never could, so I don't try anymore. I think the comparison of my face from 17 to 75 is interesting. Most people are surprised about my age. And so I gladly own up to it. When they ask me how old I am, I say 75. And I can say, yes, I embrace my age. But you know what the truth is? It's a great way to get a compliment. Because if I actually look 75, I don't know if I'd be so glad to tell people that I was. But I just like when they say, you really don't look it. And I go, thank you. Hey. Interested in oil cleansing for the face. The basis behind oil cleansing is that like cleans like. There's a lot of information about it online, and there are a lot of different products you can buy, but it's also kind of inexpensive to make your own. And that way you're sure of what you're getting. So you start with a good oil. I like to use sweet almond oil, but some people have different types of skins, and there's an oil for any type of a skin that you have. So search around. Not now, I'm trying to think of the word I want to say. On the regular, I always read the labels, and you have to buy a good oil. I can trust now products for purity. Most of the essential oils that you're going to buy are not the ones you're going to buy in the supermarket. Someone told me they bought their essential oils from the Dollar Tree. I said nothing to that person. I just said, okay, and kept on going. But a real essential oil is not the kind that you're going to find in a really good one in the grocery store. So do your research. Now, I could come and tell you about the products that I like. But when I'm doing research on anything, I eliminate the negative first, which means I look at the 1 and 2 stars because they're going to be a whole bunch of 5 stars. I want to know what the problems are first. And are those problems that I can deal with, or are those problems that really are not that important? So when I start doing my research, I always look at the negative first. So when you want to look at the different types of essential oils they are, research what your face needs. You can have dry skin, you can have skin that breaks out, you can have very oily skin. Just sort of do the homework first. And versus me telling you, this is a company I like, this is a company I don't like, because nowadays I'm not going to take that risk. So I'm going to tell you to do what I do. Research. And here's how I did it with the essential oils too. I use AI, even though I was the person that was just always going to hate AI. I look and say, I Google, which essential oil brands should I avoid? Or which essential oil brands should I not use? And just follow that with AI. And it will give you a good synopsis. It does. I mean, it helps me from having to wade through company after company after company. It breaks things down, and this is a pro and a con of all this stuff. And I just find that if you want to really drill down a bit on a good company to use, go that way. Google it first. Essential oil brands I should use, or essential oil brands I should avoid. And then what you do is you get your basic oil, you add a couple of drops of your essential oils. You may use 1, you may be using 3, I don't know. But only put 1, 2 as a drop. Not more than that. You don't need more than that. It'll be negative if you put too much. And how I cleanse my face is I shake it up when I'm getting ready to use it, pour a little bit into my palm, and start massaging my face. I massage around the eyes, around the nose. I upward stroke my forehead. Don't forget up under your chin, because you can smooth out that area under your chin. Get all the way over to your ears and just sort of give your face a good massage. Then I take a hot washcloth, wring it out, put it on my face, and let it steam for a couple of seconds. That's going to draw all the impurities out of your face. If you're using good products, if you're doing it, again, I never start anything 100%. I started oil cleansing maybe 2 nights out of the week. I wanted to see how my face was going to adjust to it. But once you start oil cleansing, avoid the soap, right? You don't really need both. I don't use the oil cleansing every night. The other night, I just clean the dirt off of my face, and I'm not out there running around. If it's a night I went to the gym, then I'm going to oil cleanse that night. If it's just a regular day, I just make sure that I've cleaned my face really good. So, I want to tell you something right now, because this podcast was not scheduled for this time. But you schedule things and you plan your life out, and then life happens. And then suddenly you go, oh, goodness, I got to change this around. I live life naturally. I eat pretty clean. I cheat, but I eat pretty clean. I never did care much for red meat. I work out pretty much every day. I'm very strong and healthy. I'm not your average 75-year-old. I take no medicines at all. I'm in good shape. And I'm telling you this for a reason. Because sometimes, even though you're doing everything right, you get kicked in the face like a mug. Stay tuned.